So my presentation will be about maintaining ecological connectivity in the Carpathians through an integrated and participatory approach. And I'm actually going to show you most of our results from the ConnectGreen project, which was implemented at the whole Carpathian level together with spatial planners, and Laszlo is here with us. He was actually one of the key partners together with Kristyna as well, and some other colleagues that were really into the topic, and we managed to actually find some really nice solutions in order to improve from a spatial planning point of view the planning of ecological corridors in the area. So just very few, let's say, key figures about the ConnectGreen. Just ended in October 2021. We were all in all 13 partners plus 10 associated strategic partners, and WWF Romania was the coordinator of the project. Total value 2.6 million euros. And this is what we aim for, to improve connectivity between the natural habitats, especially between Natura 2000 sites in the region, by first of all identifying ecological corridors and the gaps, by strengthening the capacity for identifying ecological corridors, and to come up with some strategic direction and instruments in order to improve connectivity at the Carpathian level. And I guess most of you who were in excursion 3, 4, 5 yesterday have seen some really nice landscapes, which are still, let's say, connected. But of course, that is changing now. So we have many threats that should be mitigated, from spatial planning, of course, to the development of different tourism infrastructures, and last but not least, development of linear transport infrastructure, along with the use of natural resources. And unfortunately, one of the problems in the Carpathians is related to the cumulative effect, which is not properly calculated. So when a new project is planned, nobody is really looking at the landscape level, what is happening. So the conclusion is that that particular project is not having a significant impact on environment. But if we are combining all the potential threats like we are having here, highway, river, railway, road, and electric fence, that might change actually the conclusion, let's say. And the problem is especially in the narrow valleys, which are becoming slowly a total barrier to wildlife movement. And we have to address it properly. And I think that this is the right network actually in Vienna to find the right solutions, because otherwise in time we might lose connectivity, we might lose, of course, the genetic pool of many wildlife populations, which we would like to avoid. And in the keynote speech this morning, Irene was mentioning the roadkill application tool. This is the map with what we've got so far in terms of registering animal vehicle collisions, and around 86% of the roadkills are represented by mammals, large mammals. Of course, I have to add that it's also more visible, you know, if you talk about, I don't know, a bear, a red deer, a badger, than to identify a tiny insect. So, just to add to that, not to leave, let's say, room for interpretation. But what we identified so far in terms of ecological corridors overlapping with transport, all these points are actually relevant and should be addressed. Even on highways, we are having 2 to 3 incidents in a year. Just, I don't know, 2 or 3 days ago, I heard that another bear was hit on a highway. So this is indeed a challenge to cope with. So we need some more mitigation measures and better planned ones. And here is what the protected area administrations are saying about threats to biodiversity, and we can see that roads represent the highest threat actually to biodiversity. So not even us, you know, dealing with connectivity are concerned about this, but also the protected area managers as well. These are the pilot areas that we had during the Connect Green project. And of course, we are working with all key stakeholders in order to try to find out the best ways to address fragmentation, including the one that is done by transportation. So we were working with different governmental agencies, universities, including spatial planners, of course, NGOs, and so on. And we developed quite some important tools, strategic tools. One of it is harmonized methodology for identifying corridors, because each of the 7 countries had its own way to identify corridors, and when we tried to put together data was not that relevant. So now we are finally having this tool, and among the results I would also like to mention the guidelines on how to use the spatial planning tools. And this was mainly done by our partners from the spatial planning sector. And in order to validate, these results, we were collecting actively data from the field, including through camera traps. And here you can see a mother bear, followed by 3 cubs. First one, second, and third one. Yeah, the mother just had a big bath. It was June, it was hot. And this was actually in the area where we were yesterday in Prague, Apuseni Mountains. It was very close to the path we were walking on. So we did not see the bear nor the cubs, but we saw some bear scats. So I'm not sure if it was from these individuals or not, but still they are there. And animal tracking, it was another important component for sure. We did it on, on snow, on mud, on every, let's say, potential substrate that would allow the tracks to be printed. We were also using drones in order to map the situation at the landscape level to identify some additional threats, to see if there are different other issues that might be addressed. And this is again from the Apuseni Mountains. And we were also including some results from other projects that we implemented. And here you have the tracks of one single bear that was relocated from the Eastern Carpathians in a national park. And I don't know, I cannot move the mouse. But anyway, his journey started down here, and it continued all the way to Ukraine. And in around 4 to 5 weeks, he managed to travel more than 500 kilometers. He crossed some 60 hunting management units, which is, again, opening some discussions regarding the monitoring of large carnivores and how many carnivores do we have and so on. But also in terms of connectivity, it was important to see what habitats is using, and again, the importance of verges were actually confirmed somewhere on the right side of the image that was visible. And of course, we came up with the network of corridors at the whole Carpathian level. It's an interactive tool. You can zoom in, zoom out, and to see the different categories of corridors. We said that it's not enough to just have the, let's say, classical approach, like, corridors, stepping stone, buffer zone, core area, and so on. We were dividing actually the different types of corridors into some more subcategories in order to address them properly. Because if we have thousands of corridors, we cannot conserve all of them. So we had critical corridors, critical sectors. So all these corridors that were identified with red and yellow had to be addressed. The decision support tool, this was again done together with spatial planners, and this is again an important tool in order to see the potential, let's say, conflicts between development, including transport and connectivity and biodiversity. An international action plan was developed and approved by the Carpathian Convention by the 7 countries. This was also mentioned in the morning. And of course, we had several meetings. At the beginning, we started with these physical meetings. Then we went online. It was partly fun, partly not. then we developed, during the project we also developed some online training courses for those who are working in conservation and spatial planning in order to build, let's say, the capacity in these two sectors and to address connectivity in a more coordinated way. And at the end, of course, we reached out to all important protected area administrations from the Carpathians. We are having here a picture from the final conference. It was the really first event after the pandemic when we managed to gather together more than 120 people in Hungary, in Visegrad, and it was really, really nice to see again people that they are real. Some take-home messages. Cooperation with multi-level stakeholders is for sure important. First, they have to be identified properly and involved based on criteria depending on the topic, of course. In the same time, working for 3 years together, we realized that, not even the cultural differences can represent a barrier. So we were working quite effectively together. At the Carpathian level. Of course, you have to come up with some solutions that would work across the borders, which we also did. Transdisciplinary approach, I think it's key when dealing with complex issues. And our connection with the Carpathian Convention was again very, very important because some of the tools had to be validated by them. And now, we have some tools in order to enforce some of the measures in the Carpathian countries. Good personal contacts always work, for sure, and synergies are also crucial with other projects, including for data collection, for validation, for networking, and so on. Thank you very much.
Any questions? May I?
Please.
Within your last slide, you talked about capacity training tools and also raising awareness about what you were doing. I think that this question is really very important. Can you give us a bit more information about how you are proceeding and how it's planned in the future?
Yeah, so basically this, let's say, multitude of tools we developed, we did it together with different stakeholders, including academia, different research institutions, NGOs, governments, and so on. So for sure, we have a plan. I mentioned about an international action plan for large carnivores and connectivity, which has clear objectives and actions to be carried out. We also have all these guidelines, so I think that now it's a matter of implementation because we have all these tools available. For sure, we need some more capacity in order to make sure that all these actions are implemented. But I think that we have, again, when talking about good personal contacts and collaboration between institutions, we are still in contact with the project partners. Now we are having Safe Green, which is also facilitating in a way all this interaction. And for sure, we won't stop here. We will continue with some other projects. And here there is a clear link with the Bison project, Bison Horizon project. And I think that at some point it would be nice maybe to have some joint meetings, to see how to basically mainstream connectivity into transport, and maybe vice versa as well. Why not?
Thank you. For sure, there will be a workshop this afternoon where we will talk about also the appropriation and dissemination of knowledge. And Bison will be part, but there will be also the Sustainable Infrastructure Partnership Community of Learners. I also invited Rodney, and you're welcome too. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other question? Yep.
I think this is what you're asking is the most important, and we have to know that these 3 green projects, I mean, initially TransGreen, Connect Green, it's stepping stone, let's say, system with a safe green. And this is really nice to see, not only on the Carpathian region, but what we have to do in the Eastern and South Europe, because this is a conference that we have to see, we have to do the next steps. And this is also connected with the next workshop that we have about mainstreaming biodiversity in our developed sectors, let's say, in South and Eastern Europe. So I think this is the question, Yannick, and it is a starting point to discuss what's the next step, and for that we would like to create this roadmap of crucial activities that we have to point out and to select and to plan. And so it's a hard work in the future, I think, and we have to see how to plan it, to organize it.
Yeah, indeed, and this workshop will take place starting at 3:30 in Red Room, and I think it will be crucial, let's say, discussion in order to see how to better cooperate, between initiatives, between projects, institutions, and so on.
I think it will be important to have a workshop after all the workshops, because this conference is a conference of workshops.
Yeah, this is what I meant before. We have to plan some joint meetings in order to
it's
maximize.
Very interesting to
efforts.
see all the spectrum, of the workshops and all the results and the feedback, and to make a common Zoom, let's say, somehow.
Thanks, Lazarus.
Any questions? Yep.
I just have to wonder about the field visit from yesterday about the Metropolitan Ring Road. Was there also some involvement in that project? Or was the scale of... I know this is more a detailed plan on a detailed scale, but yesterday I missed a bit about connectivity, plans of connectivity about the Metropolitan Ring. But maybe this is also a suggestion for a workshop next. But anyway, I would like to have your opinion on that.
Yeah, thanks for the question. I mean, unfortunately, myself could not be present, in two excursions in parallel. Although sometimes it would be nice to clone ourselves, but for sure we are in contact with the town hall. I participated in several debates they organized on this topic of Metropolitan Ring. And I raised the issue of connectivity. I presented them the results from the project, and we are having basically a critical ecological corridor between Cluj-Napoca and the next village. Bears are coming, including in that area, in the urban area. It happened last time some 3 months ago. So for sure. There is an issue that it has to be addressed. Unfortunately, the first reaction was that in that area it's not possible to mitigate it, not even with structure that would facilitate the movement of the animals, because of different other plans, like to build a regional hospital, like to, I don't know, to further develop the, urban area and so on. And we came up with another alternative. That's okay, let's do it, at 500 kilometers from that area, because that's also a critical ecological corridor. So there are two, let's say, alternatives. The first one we understand is not possible because of the plans that were already agreed. But the second one, it's still feasible. We don't have an official answer that they will actually do something about it. But yeah, we are still, having this issue on our agenda, and we will try our best in order to mitigate this, this threat in the area. Yeah.